Many asylum seekers seeking safety and refuge in this country are denied it. And it isn't just the racism of grotesque groups like the BNP or the EDL, the popular and individual racism. It's also the racism of the state, and it's the racism of the government, and the racism of the judiciary, and the racism of the police. And it's the same government and the same judiciary and the same police that's also beating down and attacking working class people in this country. And for many people out there that seem to think that it's asylum seekers, refugees and economic migrants and Palestinians and Muslims that are taking their jobs or taking their council houses or that are making the country unsafe, that's incorrect, and that's a lie, and that's a distortion, and it's a propaganda that's spread about by the corporate mainstream media. It's in their interest to do so. It's in the interest of the politicians to do so. It's in the interest of the ruling class that these divisions are created amongst working class people in this country and working class people internationally, to prevent us from joining together and understanding and realising that the same economic system that's waging war on working class people in this country with ASBOs, by selling off council houses, by using the police to beat people down, that's making people unemployed and employing them on low wages for long hours with very few holidays, is the same economic system that's attacking and bombing and murdering its way across Afghanistan and Iraq at the moment, and in Israel as well. And the only time that we ever hear about Muslims is when people seem to think that they're attacking our way of life and that they're attacking our freedoms. And as was pointed out earlier, this is complete and utter distortion of reality. It's manufactured. It's done to divide people in this country. It's a divide and rule tactic. It's what's been used by the British state and British imperialism for many years. It's been used, tried and tested by ruling classes in other countries around the world as well. There's British imperialism, there's American imperialism, there's European imperialism. So we need to understand that it's not just people making racist comments on the bus that makes racism what it is. It's the racism of the state going out into our communities in the early hours of the morning in unmarked vans, dragging families, kicking and screaming from the beds, beating them, throwing them into the backs of vans, sneering and scoffing at them as they whimper, taking them to detention centres where they're again starved and beaten and tortured and treated inhumanely before being drugged and bundled onto planes and taken back to countries that are unsafe because Britain is bombing them. Britain thinks that Afghanistan is a safe country and that Afghanistani people coming to this country seeking refuge should go back to Afghanistan. Well, I certainly wouldn't go to Afghanistan for a holiday, and I doubt anybody else here would do too. So we need to understand what racism is and where it's coming from, and it's quite ironic, isn't it? I think it's absolutely been planned and organised for weeks that the British Army and the Army cadets in particular trying to recruit young people into the armed forces with climbing frames and fancy uniforms and showing them pictures of men and women jumping out of helicopters with shiny big guns and making it all look like it's a great big game and it's exciting and it's wonderful. This is deliberately being done to target young people, particularly working class young people in our city today when England are playing, whilst people's patriotism is up and whilst everyone's getting in the mood for the World Cup, to drag people into the army, to capture them whilst they're young, to brainwash them into believing that they're spreading freedom and democracy when what they're doing is spreading terror and murder and bombing and killing and raping people around the world and their countries and making the world an extremely unsafe place. So I'll wind up now because I think I've spoken enough, but this is an open mic and it's open to anybody, and we particularly want to hear from young working class people in our community, brown, black, white, yellow, doesn't matter, particularly asylum seekers, refugees and economic migrants who are at the sharp end of British state racism and British imperialism. Step up to the mic and tell us what you think. This is your opportunity, it's your mic, these are your streets. Thank you.